Donte DiVincenzo has just made a major decision on his contract status and upcoming free agency. The New York Knicks have been linked to the former NBA champion for the last few weeks. If Donte DiVincenzo makes himself available during free agency, one of the teams that are going to top the list for his services will be the New York Knicks. We're going to break all of this down and so much more today. But before we get started, guys, about 92% of you guys watching this video right now are not subscribed. We're creating a lot of great content for you. If you could, it would mean a lot if you could hit that subscribe button because it really supports what we got going on for you on this channel. And now, let's get started. Donte DiVincenzo is apparently declining his player option with the Golden State Warriors, and the New York Knicks could be heavily interested. According to Kendra Andrews of ESPN, Donte DiVincenzo is not picking up his $4.7 million player option with the Golden State Warriors and will enter unrestricted free agency. I am not surprised or shocked by this at all. For weeks now, all we've heard is Donte DiVincenzo could be a New York Knick. And this all started with one of his other Villanova fans, Josh Hart. Josh Hart was trying to recruit Donte DiVincenzo even when Taylor Rooks from Bleacher Report was asking him questions about his decisions in free agency. That's how long the Knicks and Donte DiVincenzo has been linked. So obviously with Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson being former Villanova stars, Donte DiVincenzo coming in makes a lot of sense because he knows those guys. He's friends with those guys. He's close to those guys. He has connections to those guys. So in terms of a fit, that all makes sense for Donte DiVincenzo. But Jake Fisher from Yahoo Sports also gave us the following update. According to Fisher, the New York Knicks and Minnesota Timberwolves have been linked to adding Donte DiVincenzo this upcoming free agency. According to Fisher, there have been several names linked to the Wolves at the salary slot, and they are all playmaking bigger combo guards, such as Bruce Brown and Donte DiVincenzo. Both players are expected to have several options in that contract range, where there's been growing noise among league personnel about DiVincenzo joining former Villanova teammates Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart in New York. Major update here from Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports, basically indicating that a lot of sources around the league are hearing and basically confirming at this point that once Donte DiVincenzo hits free agency this Friday, that the first team to call will be the New York Knicks, and one of the main teams that Donte will likely sign with this upcoming free agency are the New York Knicks. They have Josh Hart, they have Jalen Brunson. That's a clear fit and clear connections for Donte to come here. He already knows these two. He's close with these two. It makes sense in that regard. But let's also not get it twisted in regards to production, because if you're looking at stats and shooting, Donte DiVincenzo checks a lot of boxes for the New York Knicks too. Last season with the Golden State Warriors, DiVincenzo averaged 9.4 points on 43.5% shooting 39.7% from three, adding 4.5 rebounds and 3.5 assists per game. Near 40% from three. That alone should have the New York Knicks interested. I mentioned this a lot on this channel, but forgive me, it's been a while since I've been able to talk about competitive playoff basketball. But in the playoffs with the Knicks, against the Cavs and against the Heat, one of the main things the New York Knicks were associated with was poor shooting and poor offensive execution. We needed more playmakers. We needed more people who could get their own shot. We needed other people who would be able to knock down threes if they were open in the corner. And we didn't really have anybody who showed up to do that. The people that we did have shooting threes, in Quentin Grimes and Emmanuel Quickley, couldn't buy a three in the playoffs. And that hurt us a lot. Adding a veteran, a former NBA champion in Donte DiVincenzo, who, by the way, is 26 years old, so he does fit the age timeline for this Knicks team, but nonetheless, adding somebody like DiVincenzo to the New York Knicks is a huge win for the Knicks if they're able to do so this Friday during free agency. And I think the first domino, the first signing for the New York Knicks this offseason will be Donte DiVincenzo. And it makes a lot of sense, even if you think back to the Josh Hart situation right now. Josh Hart and the New York Knicks were supposed to settle on a contract this past Saturday, but they extended talks till this Thursday. Now, why would they do that? Josh Hart could opt into his $12.9 million player option. And if he does that, he could be extension eligible for an $80+ million contract down the line over 4 years. So he could leave some money on the table now and recoup that later if the Knicks encourage him to do that. And if the Knicks encourage him to do that, that gives them access to the $12.4 million non-taxpayer exception. And if they have that available, especially with Donte DiVincenzo, who just declined his $4.7 million player option with the Golden State Warriors, it does sound like the money is there for the New York Knicks to go out and sign Donte DiVincenzo this Friday come free agency. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen, because if you're looking at everything the way it is right now, Josh Hart loves DiVincenzo, has been trying to recruit him to New York. The New York Knicks like Donte DiVincenzo. Apparently, Donte DiVincenzo has a lot of fans within the New York Knicks organization. We also spoke about this before, but Ian Begley reported on June 22nd that several influential people within the Knicks organization are fans of the idea of adding Donte DiVincenzo to this roster in free agency. So obviously the Knicks want to add him. The Knicks clearly see what he can do in terms of upgrading their shot creation and their three-point shooting. Donte DiVincenzo is beloved by Josh Hart. He has connections to both Villanova stars that we have in Brunson and Josh Hart. All the connections, the fit, the money, the movement of Josh Hart's negotiations with his contract to Thursday, all of it looks and points and signals that the New York Knicks will add Donte DiVincenzo during free agency this Friday after 6 p.m. because that's when free agency starts. I cannot wait to see the amount of announcements, the amount of reports, and the amount of just buzz in the NBA that generates as soon as free agency starts this Friday. Because I'm assuming you're going to see a lot of rumors, a lot of reports, a lot of contract deals, but certainly you're going to see a lot of additions to certain teams with key free agents. And one of the key free agents on the block right now is Donte DiVincenzo. As Jake Fisher mentioned, the New York Knicks are not the only team in line for his services. There's going to be a lot of teams lined up to add that type of shooting and shot creation to their team. And one of those teams will be the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have a very interesting backcourt dynamic right now with Mike Conley and Anthony Edwards. They may need somebody coming off the bench. And if you're looking about it in terms of a fit-wise, it does seem like Donte DiVincenzo fits the Timberwolves backcourt in terms of their bench a little bit better than New York, because the Timberwolves really need a backup point guard on their bench that can help facilitate the offense once Edwards and Conley are not on the floor anymore. So it does make sense in that regard to the Timberwolves. But the amount of connections and relationships that DiVincenzo has with the New York Knicks, and given the reports that we've heard from Jake Fisher and Ian Begley, two credible NBA insider sources, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is not an if, but now it's a when. It's when the New York Knicks add Donte DiVincenzo. Because at this point, the when answer is coming this Friday at 6 p.m. Because it's looking like that's when the New York Knicks will sign Donte DiVincenzo so he can be part of this roster for next season. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below. Smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.